interesting period of time. And I refrain from speaking during your items, Commissioner Kessler, but I do want to be clear on a couple of points. Every question that's been raised by a citizen or by this board, I have addressed, or my staff has addressed, in writing. When it comes to the budget documents that were all transparent and publicly approved, when it comes to contracts with Inspired Tech, when it comes to the PowerPoint that Mr. Kessler did in the meeting I wasn't here, alleging improprieties, I will note, without having gone to staff first to ask the questions, we responded. I don't know where to begin with Mr. Fultz. It's probably better if I just leave it be. But I will tell you, I stand by what I wrote. I did put in writing a request for a formal opinion. Mr. Fultz has copied you on an email. The day after I received that email, I went and I met with Mr. Carlton and the executive director of the Commission on Ethics. And they advised me that because of his efforts, largely, to call repeatedly, they were no longer, as is their protocol or policy, comfortable in providing a written opinion, as he had stated that it was imminent that he would be filing a complaint. I want this board to know, I want the public to know, that I have been focused on ethical public service my entire career. I have done it here. I will do it wherever I may go in the future. I do not believe anything untoward or unethical occurred. I do believe that I have responded to your questions. And I do believe there is a defamatory and an ugly set of politics afoot in these chambers and outside. And I want you to know it is having a negative impact on your staff, on me, and our ability to implement your policies. I've tried to talk to you individually about this repeatedly. I've expressed my concerns to the attorney. I've expressed my concerns to the insurer, because I think that there are some workplace issues. You know, when a Steve Fultz is escorted by a commissioner through secure areas in our building to take photos of existing staff at their desks, regardless of the reasons, I think that creates, or what was reported to me, it creates a concern by your staff. Not me, maybe I'm the target, but by others. I have had double-digit employees come to me and say that they've gotten outreach from Mr. Fultz, demanding to know, you can tell me something's wrong with that Pingree, and it just stinks. I have done everything that I have done as transparently as I can. I stand by my staff. I stand by my mistakes. I own up to my mistakes. I'm not fearful of the Commission on Ethics. I'm not fearful of workshops. But I do want you to know that this environment that we have is untenable. It is unsustainable. And it is harmful to implementing for the citizens what we want us to implement. And you need to be very cognizant of that, regardless of how many workshops you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. We will take a 10-minute recess.
We just
If there's anyone in the lobby, please notify them to come in. Okay. Larry, can you see if there's anyone in the lobby if they want to come in? Okay, we're going to last of our items, which are discussion issues by commissioners. We have one listed on the agenda, which is Commissioner Brock's discussion regarding November board meetings, and then followed by a request from Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Brock?
I just wanted to, it looks like I have a conflict on November 1st, so I was just giving you an early heads up that I won't be able to attend the November 1st meeting. I wanted to make sure that I was aware of that. I might, when the agenda becomes published, if there's an item that might need to be tabled, I might bring it up sooner to that, letting Heather know, and we'll go from there. Wanted to also, since we're on agenda discussion, I plug early voting one more time. And I wanted to ask, I don't know what we need to do, but can we have somebody look at our mics? Because the sound in here, I know we probably had it done before, but the mic noises are distracting.
Okay, I see on the card that this under discussion items, if there's no action to be taken, there's no room for citizen input on the commissioner discussion items as we've worked it. Okay. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Brock. Commissioner Stewart?
Okay, thank you. I added this item. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take my time here, and hopefully it'll make sense, but I want to go down this road carefully. I've lost a lot of sleep the last week over what I'm about to talk about, and I want to make it very clear to the public and to the board that I have valued Mr. Pingree's counsel, and every time I've ever asked him to do anything, he's been quick to do it. He has my complete utmost regard for his profession as a professional. I think he's a good employee. With all that said, I want to make sure that that's understood. But I want to say this, that I think it's now time, and I've talked to Ben about this. It's not a surprise to Ben that it's time maybe for the county, not maybe, it's time for the county to go down a different road. And I guess what I'm saying is when I say that, sometimes upper management, and he's been our chief executive officer of the county for 4 years, and a lot of things have happened. We've seen the county come, he's helped usher the county into, I believe, the 21st century with the way we do business. Things are documented now. I mean, I know because I used to be here before Parrish Bartlett was here, and even back 2 or 3 county administrators before that, and I know how far we've come. But sometimes, you have to change course, and I think it's time. I've talked to Ben about it, and I think that time has come that we need to change course with a new county administrator. And I didn't want to negotiate anything with Ben. I have not negotiated anything with Ben, nor will I unless the board appoints me. I'm going to suggest that some member of the board do that to come up with some mutual separation agreement to ask Ben to leave the county's employment. And I hate to do that. I think it's going to be a big bump in the road, and I'm not sure that I always used to think that when I was in charge of somewhere in all my employments that I had, which I can only talk from my military history, but when I was there, I always thought that wherever I was at would quit functioning when I left, because I thought I was that good. But lo and behold, when I'd leave, I'd look back 2 or 3 years later, and they were still functioning, just as good as when I was there. So, we're not irreplaceable, but sometimes it's hard to find people to fill people's shoes, and I think that'll be the case with Mr. Pingree. But I'm asking the board tonight, and I'll do this in the way of a motion, for us to negotiate a mutual separation agreement with Mr. Pingree and to have it ready for the next board meeting to do just that, and ask a board member, and I'll be glad to do it. I only say that because I want to put my hat in the ring too, and I don't care who does it. That we move forward with that. That's my motion. I know it'll take a 5-0 vote to get that done tonight, but that's where we are. And let me just, before we do second, if I hope that I can get a second, because I think it's time to do it, because I too have had almost every staff member that's on staff come to me privately and say to me how frustrated they are with the way business is being done in the county right now. Call it politics or whatever you want to call it. It's ugly. And it happened the other night here at this meeting. It's mean. It's ugly, and we need to get past that. And I count myself in that too. But we have got to get past this mean and ugly with the PowerPoints. It has nothing to do with PowerPoints. It has to do with how they're presented and the information that's presented in them. And we have got to move past this. And we got a lot of things to do. We have just sort of, over the last 6 months, we just sort of ground to a halt. I know, because the things that I asked to get done aren't getting done because the staff is so busy. It's just become this big cloud over that whole staff, and we can't get anything done. We're just not functioning. And the 5 of us have got to work together. It don't mean we're always going to agree. But the people I value the most is those guys sitting over there, the staff. And do they always get it right? No. Will they always get it right? No. They're going to make mistakes. And we're humans. But here's not the place to air that dirty laundry. I disagree strongly that this is a place, and the way we've been doing it, I'm asking the public to, if we can get just past this chapter in our history of county commission and doing business in the county and move forward in a more agreeable manner, then that's what I'm looking to do for the next 2 years that I'm here. And whoever ends up being the new board, I don't know who that's going to be, whatever 5 is sitting up here after November, that we got to work together. And that's what I'm asking. So Mr. Pingree's in agreement with this, and I don't want to put words in Ben's mouth. I want to ask Mr. Kessler if you'd let him speak after we get a second to reaffirm what I've stated here, and move forward from there. And the quicker we can get it done, I think the quicker it'll be for the county, and then we can start negotiating how we're going to fill that position. So with that said, I just need a second to move forward.
Second for discussion.
So there's a motion by Commissioner Stewart. Could you repeat your motion, Commissioner Stewart?
To have a commissioner negotiate with Ben a mutual separation agreement for his leaving the county, and have it ready by the next board meeting, and we can move forward from there.
And seconded by Commissioner Otts. If any citizens want to speak to this issue, they have the opportunity to do so if they fill out a citizen to speak card. So our first citizen is Mr. Chuck. Well, we want to hear from Mr. Pingree first, please.
I am so very honored and proud of every single thing, the good and the not so good, that I've done in this county. I am so exceptionally proud of the team that exists on your staff. And I know you know this, but our capabilities, our processes are very different than what I found just less than 4 years ago. This year has been extremely difficult. I've never seen a board like it. I've never seen an environment like it. And I've navigated it the best way that I can. But I would be dishonest if I told you that we are firing on all cylinders right now. The fact of the matter is there are a handful of concerned citizens, good citizens, but they are, best I can tell, turning this county on its head. And I'm not being successful at this point in time to the high standards that I set for myself and that you expect of me and us. And it's not just me. You can ask any of your staff, down to the line staff, ask their opinions. I've always had a objective of providing the best service compared with any other county in the state, regardless of size or capacity or scalability. And that's a really high bar when you're fiscally constrained and you don't have that much staff. But man, we've come a long way and we've done great work. But I don't have a objective in being a martyr either. I feel persecuted. I feel defamed. I don't think it's fair what's happening, but it doesn't change anything. And I don't know if this is sustainable for the organization, and I'm pretty sure it's not sustainable for me personally. 3 more months of antagonism and beratement that I don't think is justly deserved. I'm trying to be somewhat calm in my statements, but there's been a tremendous amount of suffering. And not just by me, but by many people on this good team that have nothing else in mind but to serve you and the citizens through you. And, this is not high on my list of priorities, but I agree with Commissioner Stewart that an organization is the most important thing. I've always operated by the rule that we are replaceable, all of us. And I've always tried to train staff to be ready should that come. If there is a way for this organization to proceed under new leadership, if that is the board's desire, which by what has been allowed to occur in these chambers and outside, I get the sense that's kind of where you're going. I just as soon move in that direction with you if I can protect my family in accordance with my contract and what I've been experiencing. I do not find this to be an unfriendly motion. I find it in some ways to be a little humane. Thank you. Mr. Chuck Hess.
So, Chuck Hess, I'm speaking for myself tonight. Basically, I come to the county commissions. I've been coming to these meetings for 6-7 years now, regularly expressing my opinions. And Ben's tenure here has really improved the county, and it's just light years ahead of where it was before he started. And while there's been lots of comments and lots of things happening here, what I would like to see before we just allow him to go away is addressing the issues. If there is an issue there, okay, then this might be the way we want to go. But if there isn't an issue there, he's been a good employee, and I would think we would want to keep him. And so I'm not sure, how much there is to all the stuff that's been coming up. But I would like to see the board address it. I thought that's what this meeting was coming up on September 2nd, was going to look at the issues, address the issues, and see if there's anything that needed to be addressed. I thought he's done a really good job, and so if it's possible, I would like to keep him. But that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pam Forward.
I'm
Sorry, I stepped out a couple of minutes and then I came back in and heard a motion that sounds like our county administrator might be leaving. And I'm just beside myself. I know Ben Pingree. I know him to be of the highest integrity. I know the work that he's done in this county is excellent, as is the staff that he's brought on that have gone through all of this stuff with him. I do not accept, as a citizen, I do not accept any resignation or any vote to separate him from this county. I think we need to move on and let him do the job that we hired him to do, because I'm sorry, I'm just without words. This means a lot. This just means a lot to this county, and Ben Pingree and the staff that sits behind him just means so much in us moving forward with all of the things that everybody believes to be the most important things in this county. So please do not let him separate from this county right now.
Can I add one thing, or comment on that, Mr. Council? Please. And I want to make it clear too, Pam, that I appreciate that and echo your sentiments, but we're not getting anything done. It's our fault. Right here. I take blame for that. Whether anybody else will or not, I will. And say that, you know, we're off the rails and the train's quit moving and we got to get it back on. And, you know, when you get somebody down and you kick them long enough, they give up. And I think that's where we are. I think we've got the man in, we've kicked him until he can't go anymore and we can't get anything done. And that's where we are. So, and I didn't come up, you know, like I said, I lost a lot of sleep about this, and I went to Ben. And, you know, sometimes you've got to part ways, and unfortunately, that's where we are. And you can, you know, if you want to blame anybody, you can blame me. I'll take the blame. But it's not fair. It's not fair to his health. It's not fair to his family. It's not fair to those people who work for it.
Commissioner Watts?
First, thank Commissioner Stewart for bringing this item forward. I'm planning to withdraw my second in a few minutes, but I did want to allow some discussion. What we've been going through as a board and as a county and as staff has really been ugly, horrible, unpleasant. And, you know, I've been struggling with how to bring it to an end. And I've looked at, oh, is this not on? Oh, I'm sorry. Do I need to start over?
Sure.
Okay. I thank Commissioner Stewart for bringing this item forward, but I also indicated that I would be withdrawing my second in a few minutes. You know, what we've all been going through, the county staff, the board, the public, has really been ugly. And I've been wrestling with how to resolve it. How were we going to work our way through it, or otherwise reach some conclusion so we could go back to operating in what I thought was a really great mode of operation for my first year and a half. I thought this board was functioning really well. I thought we had great staff doing great work. And, I mean, it was wonderful. and then it did kind of derail. And I think I hear concerns being expressed, and I take those seriously, and I certainly want, to in some cases I think they have been addressed. In other cases I think we have efforts underway to get answers or investigate certain problems. But and I myself, I've said this before, I have not yet heard or been convinced of anything that makes me want to terminate our administrator. So, and I've been worried that he would leave on his own, because I understand how unpleasant it is. And if anything, I've been encouraging him to stay and answer the questions and let's work through this. And I was very optimistic that maybe after we got a few more answers or after the next election, we could kind of get back on track. I don't know. Most of the ideas I've had don't seem to be real clear solutions to put this all behind us. So I don't know, but I don't want to vote for anything tonight, because I want to talk with Mr. Pingree personally about this specific thing. I haven't had a chance to do that. I want to talk with the other staff, because what I absolutely don't want is a mass exodus of excellent, productive staff. So I'm glad people are thinking about ways to try and resolve this. I personally was hoping it would be something we could work through together as a county. That if we found some problems, we could make corrections, change some things about the way we've been doing things. And some of what gets that Mr. Pingree gets blamed about, it's things this board voted on. If you're going to be pointing your finger at somebody, it's the five of us who usually voted 5-0 to do something. So I don't think he is justly, a lot of the things that are being thrown at him, really, like you said, you take responsibility for, I take responsibility for. So, I'm aware there's concerns and there's some problems. I think there's some big problems, some places we aren't even talking about. But I think most of what's been thrown up as, major problem, I think is fixable, and I really was hoping we could work through it. But I appreciate that we're looking to try and find an end, because I think at some point we do need to get back on track.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Hartz, I didn't, like I said, I went and talked to Ben more than once about this. And this was an understanding that this is where we wanted to go, this road we wanted to go down. And I'm not trying to defend anybody. I'm just saying this is ugly, like you said, where we're at in time, and it's got to change. I hate coming to the commission meetings because it's gotten so ugly. Now, that's what I'm paid to do, and I'll keep doing it because I got thick skin. I don't need any of that lotion that somebody offered the other night. But, I want to see, I want to do right by him, and I want to do right by those folks who work for him. And if he feels like this is the road we need to go down, then that's the road we need to proceed down. So.
We have a few more citizens that wanted to speak on this. A few more citizens. Larry Roberts.
Commissioners, Larry Roberts, South Choppy. There are basically two options that's being presented here. Either Mr. Pingree leaves with our blessing, or there have been some serious allegations made about Mr. Pingree's conduct. I don't know if any of this is true, but I do believe there's enough there that it should be investigated by somebody other than the group appointed by Mr. Pingree, and the answers found, and then be handled accordingly. So, is it best that Mr. Pingree leaves gracefully, or would it be best if all these allegations were investigated? I don't know the answer.
Well, Mr. Kessler, that's not what I said. I did not say that. I want to make the record very clear. There's no doubt in my mind that Mr. Pingree has not done anything wrong. There's no doubt in my mind. I want to make that clear. I'm just telling you now that's not what I said. So you just come up and put words in my mouth. I had one option, not a second option. So.
Okay, please. Mr. Charles Whitman.
Charles Hickman, 528 Hickorywood Drive. Mr. Stewart, I applaud your managerial expertise on this issue. It's a very difficult issue. What I'm seeing at these meetings and with Mr. Pingree is perception. And when you have some perception that's 90% against you, you can't do your job as well as it should be. And that is a very difficult position to be in. No one has ever gone through the professional ranks, managerial ranks, without having that issue face them at some point in time. I have 3 or 4 times been in that position. It's very difficult to be in. And the best thing to do is perhaps what you had suggested. Sit down and have an amiable separation at this point in time. It also is an opportunity for you as a board to sit there and make some managerial decisions on what you are looking for in a new administrator, the salary levels comparable with other counties, the benefits comparable with other counties. And I'm not saying we're out of line. I'm just saying it's time for you to take a hard look and make managerial decisions that you all have agreed to do on behalf of the citizens of this county. And I applaud your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gail Hickman.
I'm Gail Hickman. I live at 528 Hickorywood. I don't have a whole lot to say. I think, Mr. Stewart, you have made a very wise motion, and I'm proud of you. It's a difficult and hard thing, and I think it's the best thing. And I'm pleased that you stood up and did that. Thank you.
Looking for the citizens to speak.
I'm just going to withdraw my second, but Alan, did you want to say something?
Withdraw a second.
Try to figure out, and again, this is not what I expected at the end of the night to be tonight. The best way to address these concerns that are being raised. I'm trying to figure out if I try to, as much as I can, express my support in the past for our county administrator and our staff. I echo Commissioner Stewart's comments that we've come so far. We're moving forward. Our county administration has become more professional. We've codified things. We've done things better. The ethic concerns that have been raised by citizens, I've looked into. I don't right now, unless there's a surprise out there that we don't know of. I don't see any ethic concerns. He's done nothing but been an ethical man as far as I can tell. Housing, everyone will admit there's been problems in housing. We're working on fixing the problems in housing. I think our county administrator has actually taken the fall for some things, and that don't necessarily fall at his feet. The housing mess is a mess, and we're trying to get it fixed. My other concern with this, and I worry, and again, maybe I've been, in my effort to avoid conflict, maybe I've been too timid, too complacent, to trying to avoid having conversations and turning these conversations political, because that's not what I want to do. And I worry that if we, and we might have already done this, by not addressing these issues earlier, when they first started being raised and the ongoing concerns being raised, I addressed them one-on-one with the administrator, but that's not addressing them with the public. I feel comfortable with the answers I've received. I think he's doing a good job. I worry that it would be really hard for us to find someone of his caliber to replace him because of the concerns that have been raised, the ongoing negativity that's come towards him over the last couple months, and the way that we handle it is, I mean, we let our county administrator be drunk, worthy or not, because we didn't address it. I'm not saying that, but we've had a lot of negative things been said for a few months, and we end that with, we think it's time to let you go. And then we go and try and find someone, and if they look at our record, they're going to say, well, you didn't stand up for your last county administrator, and then you let him go. And I think Mike's done a good job of saying very positive things, and I understand where Mike's coming from. We have to find a way to move forward. I'm not going to support this tonight. It might be something we bring up at the next meeting, I'm not sure. I think, and I give compliments to our county administrator, our county attorney, and our staff behind him. Again, my experience with the county, from the little bit I did in the past and since prior to the year, and some I've done in the last 3-4 years with them, it continues to improve. Things are going better in Wakulla. Our transparency is up. For people who haven't, I see some people who are who may express some doubt, but you have no idea what it was like before. Transparency is up. The records are there. We're moving forward and we're making things happen. And I don't think it's going to pass tonight. I think it's going to end up dying here. We're not bringing it up at the next meeting. But I want to applaud Commissioner Stewart for nothing else bringing the conversation to the forefront so that we can start talking about this and trying to help our county move forward. And I think this might be the catalyst needed to help us do that.
May I say one thing to that?
Please.
I asked the board 2 meetings ago for a vote of confidence, and I couldn't get that. So this is where it's led us to is here. It's just, it has deteriorated even further. And I know, well, I won't say what, but that's, that's where we are, and I guess maybe I've, if I hadn't achieved anything else, and I'm hearing, I hadn't heard Mr. Green say anything, and I'm sure Mr. Kessler's going to comment, but if nothing else, maybe we've given a vote of confidence to the man. I mean, I can't imagine being in his shoes and getting up in the morning saying, I got to go in there and work under the scrutiny, and like Mr. Hickman said, you're exactly right, Mr. Hickman. It's all about perception. You're exactly right, and unfortunately, you put such a cloud over people long enough, they look ugly, even if they're not. They look ugly, and I think that's where we put them in. So, I'm not saying they're ugly, Dan. I'm just saying that's what we're caused. So,
thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Thank you, Commissioner Green.
I'd just like to say that I've been sitting and listening to a number of things that have been said, things that have been done, and I have been looking for and listening for answers that would answer the questions, all of the questions that have been out there. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of charges made. But I've been listening for someone to put the papers on the table and say, here are the answers. I know we've been talking and saying things, but we got to have some proof somewhere that people will accept. I can tell you anything, but if there's something hard and people can put their hands on, they can put their eyes on, that will answer the questions. I've been watching and listening and praying for those kinds of things because I don't like what has happened here. I think it's a bad thing for our county. It's a bad thing for the people because we have made progress. We made tremendous progress from what it was when I first came. But it's gone continuously downhill, and it was getting worse. And I was just hoping that something would break through that would put all of this to an end. And I'm sorry to see it happen. I'm sorry to see it happen because I think Wakulla County, we've done well, but we can do better, much better. So I just want to say that.
Thank you, Commissioner Green. Commissioner Potts, do you have any other comments? I'll say a couple of words, not much. But as far as not getting anything done in our county, there are a lot of employees out there working their behind off and doing a great job. So there are things getting done. But there are questions that need to be answered, and that's what that special meeting is intended to do. I applaud Commissioner Stewart for bringing the opportunity to discuss that area before the board. But I think the board owes it to themselves and to the community to answer some questions and really sit down and look at it. Please.
Please.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my thoughts back. I don't think it's about kicking someone when they're down. I think it's accountability. I think it's sunshine. And I think it's good government. And some of the government may seem pretty edgy at times. But this is democracy. This is America. And we as a people revolted at one time. I think the board has a huge responsibility and has to address questions. I think this is one of the opportunities that, or avenues that we may go down. I think it's not something to be handled at the end of the meeting in the discussion items. I'd like to recognize one of the citizens that wanted to speak, Mr. John Probert.
Good evening. I'm John Probert. I live at 52 Division Street, Panacea. I wanted to give you some thoughts here. The idea of having Mr. Pingree leave on a mutual consent is one way to do it, but sometimes it may be unfair, because what it'll do is leave him with a cloud when he leaves. I recommend, as you're about to do, is to have a meeting, collect the facts, that is, the accusations, determine them as to what the data says. If it's documents, find the documents and measure it against the law. If there's a violation of the law, then it's a fact. Just to have the accusations and talking about it is not enough. The other thing I would recommend is have a good qualified investigator who can more or less correlate the material together and advise you accordingly. This way, you can very clearly determine if there is a violation. It's there in writing, it's there clear, and you can act on it. If there is not, then he can leave with a clean cloud. So the recommendation I would have is basically get the facts together, itemize them, correlate them, and evaluate each fact. Is it true or is it not? And if it's indication of truth, okay. What are the documents or statements that can back it up, to give it credibility? Because we've heard a lot of accusations, but now the question is, what is the level of credibility? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Commissioner Watts?
I'm withdrawing my second.
Okay, Mr. Perry?
I'm a little bit confused.
That's all? Well, it wasn't picking up.
Okay. I'm a little bit confused as to what questions this board has that I have not addressed, and what documents you're expecting me to bring forth. Now, I've got a citizen who makes PowerPoints that are defamatory every meeting. The appropriate venue to review those documents is not you. It's the Florida Commission on Ethics, in terms of ethics. And I was told 3 weeks ago that all they were waiting on was somebody to file a complaint, that they would not give me what I had asked for, which was a written opinion, because that was being threatened. I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit hesitant to have that trial in this inappropriate venue. Now, I can provide you whatever documentation you want, but this strikes me as false and political, to be honest with you. Now, in regards to housing, we have been upfront repeatedly about that. We have responded. We'll continue to respond. In regards to grants, we have been upfront about that in the past. We have responded in writing. We'll continue to respond. In regards to purchases, we have been upfront. We've been in writing. We have responded. We will continue to respond. In regards to Inspired Technologies, we have written. We have been upfront. There is a paper trail. You all have it. I don't know what else there is. Somebody stated in some email that I saw that Craig Goodson and Inspired has been silent. That's not true. Craig Goodson sent each one of you, copied me, a letter clearly stating his corporate and his personal opinion. He's gotten up and spoken before you and said nothing inappropriate happened in regards to my private property transaction. I've held nothing back. I mean, we're going to cover the same ground, just so you're aware, at that meeting. It's going to be the same PowerPoints. It's going to be the same documents that I hold up. And until somebody apparently files an ethics complaint before the Florida Commission on Ethics, they won't look into it. So to me, it smacks of a lot of just dirty politics. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. But if there's something that you have, I think there was one thing that you mentioned, Dr. Kessler, that we have not looked into, and I can't remember what it is yet, but anything that you've ever asked before a PowerPoint in a meeting, let's say, we've answered. And even the one that you brought up, we answered it after the fact. I mean, is this just gotcha politics, or is this trying to find out answers to legitimate questions? If it's the latter, we're there. Documented. So what is this meeting going to be? From my perspective, folks, this is the perpetuation of a persecution. And I'm getting tired of it. And so is your organization. And you need to know this.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn. Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Did you do your training yet?